Can Trump get a deal? So Russia's already said they're not going to do any negotiations with Zelensky because they view him as a lame duck, and he's not a legitimate democratic leader anymore because he suspended democracy indefinitely until whenever he feels like switching democracy back on. No one's talking about setting an election date. You're not going to get that deal without an election date unless they're planning to do a military coup, the British and the Americans managing a coup, Zelensky out, Zaluzhny in, Arestovich in. Here's the question. Would the Russians negotiate before elections with Zaluzhny as the new Ukrainian interim president? Or are the Russians going to say, no, we're going to wait for elections? Because Russia's got a problem. They're not going to want to sign a deal or do anything with something that doesn't have a good long-term legitimacy, right? That doesn't solve Moscow's problem, does it?
No, it doesn't. First, the constitutionality is very important. As far as Zelensky is concerned, he's out of his mandate. The Ukrainian constitution, it is quite clear that after the 5 years mandate, the power goes back to the parliament. So if there is anyone within the Ukrainian administration that can actually conduct any policies on behalf of the Ukrainian people, it is the parliament. And that is the reason why Vladimir Putin is very adamant about not entertaining any negotiations with Ukraine, and specifically with Zelensky, because he's simply not legitimate, not according to the Russian Federation constitution, but to the Ukrainian constitution. Are we going to see Arestovich, former spokesperson, and otherwise Zaluzhny, whose name has appeared on many kind of smoking guns dossiers? So it's interesting. The answer to that is very simple. It's to look at the post organizations of Ukraine and how and what it could look like, and what basically Britain and the US would like it to look like. What the EU thinks is a bit irrelevant at this stage. You have no negotiation with Ukraine. There's no document that can be signed with a party or an individual that is legitimate according to the constitution of Ukraine, because it would make the document non-valid. Because they could argue, say, well, he signed it, but he didn't have the power because he was illegitimate, and he could go against. And I think what Putin is saying to the world and to the US and to Britain and the EU is say, I want to sign something that you won't be able to get out of it. That's it. It's going to be for the long term. We're not going to go back to this agenda. We prove to you that it doesn't matter, Ukraine, NATO, you can send everything you want to us. We'll come at you. I don't think Ukraine and the US can afford another coup there. I think they're just going to have to invite Zelensky politely but firmly to move away, and then
announce a handover. And then it could be a handover to somebody there, or it could be to Zaluzhny or something. And then they would have to kind of announce elections. But Zelensky's just not going to be able to do that.